So I racked my brain trying to think of how to start this off. How you start something off determines whether or not someone's even going to listen or not. And a lot of people are going to disregard something that they might have found useful just off how you start. So we'll see how this goes. For those of you still here, welcome. Essentially, I've come up with a very intricate method, while very simple and very complicated, of beating the system. And by the system, I mean the argument that people use as an excuse for things people do. In this particular instance, we're going to talk about African Americans or black people for simplicity's sake. And because I'm black myself, I'm going to say black people. A lot of arguments where you bring up issues within the black community are attributed to the system. I'm not arguing that. This is about beating the system. And so, for sake of argument, we're going to take everything that's attributed to the system and we're going to put it in this little basket. This is something I learned when I went to therapy before. I'm employing something I learned. In this basket are all the things that are an issue today because of the system. This is going to help avoid a lot of arguments if you pay attention. So I'm going to stop there and express that these are scattered thoughts. And these are scattered thoughts because there is no simple way, there is no straight line to beating the system. It's an entire system. So, bear with me. You'll learn something. You might get perspective. You might think it's a waste of time. It might just be something to do during the quarantine. Whatever the case, bear with it. Share it, even if you think it's stupid. Somebody else is going to get something out of it. And that somebody might get something that they can better relate to you. Because I can't reach everybody. For one, my language skills are very limited. I speak about two fluently, another one bits and pieces, some fragments here and there. And without properly knowing the language, some things don't quite convey right. They can get the general message, but they might also miss what I'm trying to say. Now, if I understood their language better, I could put it across better. I can be mad at them for not understanding me, but then we just go in a circle and the message is not conveyed. And we've gotten off topic from the message. That goes into the whole thing with the system too. Just wait. It'll connect. It might take you a minute to get there, but it'll connect. And I'm pretty sure we've been going against the system for a really, really long time, so there's no simple 3-step process. It's a process though. The essence of beating the system is learning. It's a one-word answer. Learning. Learning is a seed that grows into a beautiful tree. Grows into a weapon that you can use against the system, against people whose arguments you don't like, against family members who have made you feel a certain way, and now you have this wonderful knowledge that you can take back and like, hey, you might give someone perspective. You might be more receptive to getting perspective. In this learning process, what you have to do is be critical of yourself. With everything you say, no matter how strongly you feel about it, you have to feel like you're wrong. Not that you're completely wrong, but that you're wrong, that there's flaw, there's fault. You can use whichever words you like, but whatever you say, it can't be perfect. Even if it's completely factual information, there are so many other factors, variables, influences, and things affect it to where you're still wrong. Or it's flawed, or it's missing a certain perspective. Now you can try to narrow things down and say, this is the focus, but the system does not just influence one thing, it influences everything. So if you say we're going to attack this part, and that's just one little piece of the system, and the system has this repair piece over here because the system expects to get attacked. Kind of simple. So we're going to attack that part of the system. If I rally behind you and we all get that part of the system, and the system just repairs that part of the system, what have we done besides waste time? Now, if I say, hey, I'm down with attacking that part of the system, but we need to consider something else, and you say, shut up, we're all ready to hit the system, I can rally with you because I might be needed to help break that part of the system. And we do it. And some of us don't make it, but we did it. Then the system repairs itself. And because the system has repaired itself, we have to attack that part of the system again. But now we have less people to do so with. Because I had a plan. And granted, my plan may not have worked. But now I'm upset. Now I'm harboring feelings towards the people I'm working with because they didn't listen to me. Hypothetically speaking, yes, my plan could have helped or my plan could have hurt. But now I have feelings of, it was a word, I lost it. Now I just don't like the people on my team, or I think they don't listen to me, or I think they're stupid, I think whatever. There's someone in the system that says, hey, I'm glad they didn't hit the repair area. Somebody in the system may know me and be like, hey, he could have really did some damage to us. Let's offer him some incentive while he's already mad at his group. That's one less threat we have here in the system. I'm going to use a lot of analogies. And I'm going to use a lot of analogies because, as I said, my language skills are limited. Analogies work so that people can get perspective. If I start talking about video games, there's someone who completely disagrees with my perspective, but can understand where I'm speaking from a video game analogy. I'll also use chess. Everybody knows chess is a thinking game. There's analogies about checkers and chess. We'll throw that in there. Also going to use a lot of war analogies because no one, absolutely no one on either side will argue that this is a war. If you call it a war against the system, premonition of a civil war, call it what you will. Let's call it war. Race war, it's still war. So I'm going to use war analogies. I've never been in a war, thank goodness. I appreciate those who done whatever to make it so that I can be here through war, but I also hate all the killing that's been done. So, you know, I can be critical. I can appreciate and be critical because that's how we grow. There's going to be a lot of flaws in what I say. And if you say, hey, that was wrong or that's flawed, I can fix it and then better convey my point. You might have been with me because some people say, I was with you until you got here. And I may have just worded here wrong. But now you're missing all of that because you stopped here. It's a roller coaster. Up here we go with the analogy. I'm going up, and you stop right there. And I'm like, wait. The drop was going to be great. The drop was going to be awesome. But you just jumped off the ride. You had a parachute. You cool. You got a whole bunch of people who also agreed that they didn't like this point. So they were all there ready to catch you. You know, one of them's a superhero. So they just flew in and swooped you up. And that's it. Superhero analogies. I like those as well. Incredibles. Edna said no capes. Not no super suit. No capes. Bob couldn't wait for a nice, new improved suit. She said no capes. So because she said no capes as a part of the super suit that he wanted, he did not disregard the entire freaking suit. He still got the super suit. It worked great. In arguments, don't throw out the entire super suit just because of the cape. Just take off the cape. If that analogy doesn't work, let me know. I'll try to find another one. I use all this because remember, the solution to beating the system is learning. I tend to come off very rude, very full of myself, very whatever. Cool. Get the message. If you can't listen to me talk, send this to somebody who can. They'll get the message. They can disregard the tone or whatever case may be, and they can give you the message in the way that you like it. I may not be able to do even if I can do that, it might give me a headache. Doing so, I might miss a part of my point because now I've taken focus away from what I'm trying to say and trying to translate everything in a way that's going to get that across to one particular person or one particular group. And there was another group that was actually with me, and I could have explained it to them. They could have already started working on fixing the If you see where I'm going with this, don't throw away the whole costume. Just the cape. It's okay. I also like that analogy because I don't always fancy myself a hero. I mean, villains wear capes too. I like the anti-hero type of deal because I employ what is textbook known as problem-based learning. I like using the textbook example because in a lot of debates, arguments, discussions, call it what you will, just don't miss the point that it's an exchange between two people of ideas, and yeah. I was off focus right there. Oh, villain. Yeah. So, in a lot of discussions that I have, people don't like how I say things. Sometimes I change how I say things, and people go, all right, now that you've complied with what I wanted, you get my point. No, it's one of those logical fallacies or illogical fallacies, whatever the case may be. Stop throwing away entire arguments because of one point. Stop throwing away entire messages because of one point. That's the point I was getting to that I just lost track of. But it's back, because that's how this works. They're scattered thoughts. When you discount one person, you discount what you can do to a lot of others that you actually support. I can't do this by myself. You can't do it by yourself. Your group can't do it by itself. The system's been around for hundreds of years. The system has been running things for hundreds of years. And the system's going to keep doing things and running things and all that good stuff, but we can make progress. So I take these little thoughts and they connect one by one. It'll take a while, but it'll get there. I also fancy it that this is not a simple issue, so deal with it. Also, I don't communicate like a lot of people, so deal with it. Find a translator. Get the thought you can, get the learning that you can. If you're focused on the negative, you're here for the wrong reasons. I'm trying to beat the system too. You can say you're helping the system, okay. Then let's talk about how I'm helping the system. And then we can push towards beating the system. Now, if you say you're helping the system, forget you. I might not have been helping the system before, but now I might be angry with you, which might be the system's idea to, turn people against each other, kind of like they do in wars. Because if you can, mess with that side and, hey, you get them fighting themselves, then you can keep all your troops. And you've lowered their morale. Morale is a huge part of war. Inspired troops, they fight harder, they're more raring to go. I'm black too. To say you don't agree with me, you're not black, you don't do this point, you're not black, you're not black, you're not black. First off, nobody gave you domain over blackness. Okay? You got mad when Joe Biden did it, but black people have been doing it to each other since before I was born because it's been happening my entire life. It's the system's fault. It is without a doubt 100% the system's fault. Now, we choose to do it, but it's the system's fault. The system is the core of it. I'm with you. We might disagree on some of the points that grow from that seed, but that's the system's fault. Stop telling people they're not black. If blackness to you is agreeing with a certain idea base, yikes. I wasn't black because of how I talked. I wasn't black because of how good my grades were. I wasn't black because of how I dressed. I wasn't black because I was into video games. I wasn't black because I was into anime. Then at times I had to be black. I'm mixed, obviously. There's ancestry, Europe. Obviously, white people ancestry. I'm super light, hazel eyes. Cool. I'm black, white, mixed. I'm not discounting anything. If I say I'm mixed, I'm not saying I'm not black. Just because I don't just say black doesn't mean, no, it's African ancestry is majority of my genetic makeup. So at times I'm gonna say I'm mixed, at times I'm gonna say I'm black, at times I'm just gonna say I'm white. Whatever. I don't like how the man was killed. If you need to hear that, there you go. I don't like how the man was killed. Don't ever use how the man was killed as a reason to discredit my argument. I don't like how that man was killed. If how that man was killed is your entire reasoning base behind everything you believe in, your argument is extremely flawed. Now learn with me. I'm going to start with black on black crime. Actually, I've been rambling for 16 minutes now, so I'll do this point. I'll see how it goes. I'm just gonna make this full circle thing real quick, and I'll do a wrap up of sorts. That's my scattered bam. This is not rehearsed or anything like that. This is just me throwing ideas out there because someone's going to give me an idea back, and I'm going to turn that idea into 50 more ideas. And if I find a million people who all are addressing those ideas and getting a bunch of other ideas, we are learning. It is like a song. It's like a poem. You take a line, you take a verse, and three people may get three different things out of it. Why would I use three? Oh, it's my favorite number mathematically. Let's say 5 people. Let's make it mathematically sound. 5 people listen to a verse of a song. 5 people get 5 different messages. Those 5 people go to talk to 5 other people. And that's just ideas about how a song goes, you so on and so forth. The pyramid multiplies down, blah, 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 blah. Hopefully you get it. If not, talk to somebody who can explain it to you. I can. Ask me personally, hit me up. Sure, cool. I don't like how the man died. This all relates. Black on black crime is related. Black on black crime is what I'm going to touch on, and I'm going to tell you why you should stop telling people. And you might disagree with me, and that's okay. Let's have a talk about it. I'm going to tell you why you should stop telling people that black on black crime is not related to how that man died. I'm going to say it in a sense where how that man died, we're throwing this George Floyd, that man, not discrediting him, his name, anything, George Floyd, cool. How that man died, it's terrible, but it has also been being affiliated to, or if you put tags on things or association with things, group ownership, guilds, whatever. That man's death is being put under police brutality, the system, all of the system, so we're going to take the system back away, police brutality because of the system, white supremacy because of the system. Let's just put those 2 categories, police brutality and white supremacy. So his dying is police brutality and white supremacy. Black on black crime is a result of the system. The system got black people to hate each other, fight each other. Been doing it since the beginning of time. We'll continue to do so. We can try to lessen it. We can fight about it, whatever the case may be. But if we consider black on black crime a result of stuff the system did, cool, I am with you. If you consider police brutality more allowed, especially with white cops and black people, because of the freaking system, we are on the same page. We might be bumping heads because I brought up black on black crime and you want to talk about police brutality, but don't tell me they're not related. Let's have a talk and I will tell you my perspective. You can disagree. You can still understand where I'm coming from and disagree. See, I'm 3 more minutes already and I haven't gotten to the core of it because there's so many factors. Always remember, there's factors. Black on black crime, system. Police brutality, system. white supremacy, system. They're related. You can say don't bring them up, keep them in mind. I'm not saying black on black crime is a bigger issue, unless we talk about numbers, statistics. Not getting into that. We can talk about how the man died and how his death, cause of death, or reason for death, or execution of this man, it's really bad. Yes. No one's arguing that. No one's saying, worse deaths have happened. Well, there's some people saying that, yeah, they're not worth, yeah. Okay, so, black on black crime. When you bring up black on black crime and you can get someone to seriously acknowledge it and respond to it, the typical response is conditions. Conditions because of the system. Okay. 400 years of slavery, Jim Crow laws, conditions. I get it. I agree. Police brutality during those 400 years. Lots of black people got killed and it was just allowed. That system remembers that, and we see it today. White supremacy, same concept. Black on black crime, except it wasn't crime back then, but black people killing each other, hurting each other, fighting each other. Same concept back then. So back in slave times, I don't have to tell black people their history. I know that you all get this. Back in slave times, and even after, when we were given freedom and everything else, still found ways to pit us against each other. And a lot of my arguments with black people where I'm discredited without even being considered, I call the person a crab. Because when I was in 8th grade, shout out to that strong black man who educated me, I was taught the analogy of crabs in a barrel, and how black people in America are typically considered crabs in a barrel, because if you put crabs in a barrel, they will pull at each other to try to get out, and they're all getting in the way of each other's progress. They're strong enough, and if they were smart enough, they could work together and everybody gets out. Tip over the barrel or something, but instead, they're too busy fighting each other to get to an actual solution. If you discredit me, you found whatever reason, I don't like his hair, I don't like his beard, I don't like his tats, I don't like One Piece like that. Leave my video. If you found any reason to discredit me, you have fed into the crab in the barrel mentality, because I might know something that will help you, and it might not be on this issue. You might hate me as far as this issue goes. Cool, separated. That is the cape. That is the cape. My message is the entire freaking supersuit. We can edit the message. We can edit the supersuit. Don't throw the whole supersuit away, though. I like the supersuit analogy. I'm trying to save people. Not save the world. Save the world. Save the country. We're divided. We're going to continue to be divided because that's what the system wants, because that's what the system's done since the system was the system. In war, it is really smart. In video games, it's really smart if you can get the enemies to damage themselves. In chess, if your opponent takes away his own pieces without you having to move yours, you are at an advantage. System's smart. We got to be smart too. That's why the solution to beating the system is as simple as learning, but it's as complicated as learning. Learning is hard because we are in the way of our own learning, and I am guilty of this as well. Black on black crime is the circle that I'm doing. I didn't lose it. Scattered thoughts. Slavery times. I'm going to bring up slavery because black people and black sympathizers constantly use 400 years of slavery. We're angry. We're tired of this. They did this to us for 400 years. No. That number's wrong. I'll get to that. Black people have killed each other during slave times because of the system. When I talk about black people killing each other now, people tell me now it's because of the system. So with that alone, since the 400, if we start black on black crime or black on black violence or black on black violence, there we go. At the start of the 400 years, then for over 400 years, the system has gotten people, black people, to hurt other black people. So you're telling me this issue that's been going on for hundreds of years should not be brought up when another part of what the system is doing, the police brutality that has us seeing a man die like that, it's not related? You don't want to talk about it now? Why? It's been an issue for 400 years. And then some. Your number's wrong. Slavery was not 400 years. It still happens today. When Kanye said it, people threw away the entire super suit. Slavery is a choice. They hated that line. That was the cape. That wasn't even the cape you should take off. You should just edit that cape. Slavery, mental slavery, is a choice. That's the slavery Kanye was referring to, the way I'm inferring it. Now, see, we got two different ideas, because if you hated Kanye for it, cool. You are entitled to that. He could have said it better. I agree. I looked at his message. You may have looked at his presentation. We heard the same thing. So, if I'm fighting a system, you're fighting a system, we listen to Kanye, we got two different things, and now we're both looking at the system different. We're not learning right. Because the system wants us to be like, hey, let's throw something out there to cause some discord. I like the word discord. I use discord for some of my games. Not unrelated. Lots of video game analogies. Lots of togetherness. Lots of arguments. Lots of competition. Whatever. Black on black crime is a huge issue. Black on black violence is a huge issue. The system made us do it. We make the choice because of how the system influences us. And understand, it's a choice. Yes, terrible conditions. Yes, survival of the fittest. Yes. A lot of people go to gang mentalities because they need that togetherness, that support. Yes. The system wants that. The system wants us to criticize each other and not learn from it. Problem-based learning. Know what the problem is. Know what the problems are. Because if you just throw a solution out there, that solution might work. It might work in the short term, it might work in the long term, it might be a permanent solution. But when you just focus on a solution and not enough of the problem, you don't see other problems that might make that, Diseases are a good example. Bacteria. There's some sicknesses that if you get this one sickness, it helps you fight this other sickness later on. Or some diseases are fought off by other diseases. I don't know the details. I am not a medical person. Yes, you can edit that. You can hit me with these facts about medical stuff. It doesn't change the overall point. That's the cape. I'm cool with throwing off the cape, changing the design of the cape. Don't lose the whole message. Don't you jumped off the roller coaster. I love roller coasters. I want to take a picture and everything. Now I'm by myself at the end of the roller coaster. Everybody on there still had fun. Hold on, mobile game. So where I am right now, in my scattered thoughts, is black on black crime, why it should not be discounted when we have these discussions, when we talk about police brutality. Black on black crime is dealt with by the police, is responded to by the police. A lot of the reports come from the police. And in a situation where we're mad at police, don't discredit something police have to deal with, like black on black crime. It is not a justification. Nothing I say is a justification for something else to someone. No. The man died terribly. I hate how the man died. Cops have to deal with black on black crime. A lot of what happens within black on black crime, and there's a lot of it, influences attitudes that police then have. Yes, police should be held to a higher standard. They are authority. We should also be understanding because we want them to understand us that they are authority and they need to act right. Yes, correct. If we want understanding, we have to understand as well. Almost did the same thing. We have to understand. We have to understand perspective, not agree. We don't have to agree with anything a cop does. But if we're going to criticize cops who have to deal with our community, if we're going to criticize the cop community, and the cops cannot criticize the black community that they have to deal with, we have to deal with them, they have to deal with us. Why are we not pushing for understanding? Let's take away cop funds. How is that helping? Now they're mad at us. There's good cops. There's a lot of good cops. Shout out to the good cops. And fuck you to the bad cops. Shout out to the good black people. Fuck you to the actual criminals. See? It's getting more and more complicated. We just started talking about black on black violence. But now we got to talk about good cops, bad cops, criminals, non-criminals that get labeled as criminals. Hold on, let me set my girls up real quick. So, there's a lot of cops that get mad at black people. There's black cops that get mad at black people. Yes, a lot of bad black neighborhoods. The system. We are on the same page. We don't discredit that black people commit crimes because of the system. Even if it's the system's influence, they still chose to do the crime. We have to acknowledge that. Bad cops are a thing. We're acknowledging that. The system has allowed for a lot of bad cops. We're acknowledging that. We should not discredit good cops because of the bad ones. Black people aren't all criminals because of the ones that are. And criminals are not all non-criminals because some of the criminals were, oh my gosh, what's the word? What's the word? Scattered thoughts. They didn't really do the crime. I'm sorry. My head's all over the place. A lot of black people go to jail for a crime they didn't commit. Yes. A lot of black people harbor ill will toward the justice system and cops because of crimes that black people didn't commit. Yes. Understandable. That is the system. Yes, we are on the same page. A lot of